Man, oh man, if I ever had a reason to quote that meme, "Wake up, babe, Opus 5 just dropped." I mean, geez. I was literally taking a nap and I got a little ding, and all of a sudden, bam, Opus 5 just dropped. And this is also happening at the same time that literally, bro, Jensen Wong just got onto X. He already has over 330,000 followers, literally from an account that's four hours old. So, that's just what it is. So without further ado, this is literally my second video today because shit just keeps happening in this field. All right, so let's go. 25 of the biggest technology companies in America signed a letter today saying the thing everybody's been racing toward for 4 years doesn't actually matter anymore. Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, IBM, Dell, Palantir, Mistral, Hugging Face, Y Combinator, and A16Z. That's literally the entire gang. But do you know who's missing? OpenAI and Anthropic. The two actual companies that are the thing. And this is also amidst OpenAI and Anthropic lobbying against open weights models. And we all know what's happening on the 27th. Kimi K3 is dropping, right? So we've got complete pandemonium over here. And I'm going completely off script. So Jensen Wong, who runs Nvidia, has never posted on X, not even once. He broke that today for this. And once you see why, this whole week reads different. The line in that letter is really what ruffles my feathers. They wrote that an American AI leadership will be judged not by one frontier model, but by whether the United States builds a strong open ecosystem. That's the TLDR. The single smartest model on Earth is no longer the prize. And every company that signed either sells the electricity, sells the shovels, or buys models by the truckload. The arms dealers and the landlords all showed up to tell Washington that guns should stay cheap and plentiful. Nobody who actually makes the best models signed it. Weird, right? And then look at what Microsoft's been doing while everyone stared at benchmark charts. They're ripping OpenAI and Anthropic models out of GitHub Copilot, out of Excel, out of Outlook, and dropping in their own house models, the MAI family. Ooh, MAI. Now, are those models better? No. Benchmarks put them around DeepSeek version 3.2, which is way behind what they're replacing. They run on older H100s and A100s, the leftover silicone, because it's cheap. Man, I swear to God, I had never thought that I'd see Bill Gates' company, who got tried for being a monopoly back in the 90s, actually be on this side of the fence. That's pretty crazy. Your Copilot subscription costs the same, though. The model underneath it just got worse and cheaper to run. And Microsoft keeps the difference. You will not get an email about this. That's the whole play in one move. Fill Azure with open models so customers have no reason to go anywhere else. Stop paying OpenAI and Anthropic their licensing cut, and make sure no single lab ever gets big enough to threaten the cloud. Microsoft stopped being an OpenAI reseller. They're the orchestra conductor now. And the models are section players who can be swapped in mid-show. Also, I gotta say, that is a far cry from where Microsoft and OpenAI started out. They were quite chummy in the beginning. Then Sikana dropped the thing that should scare every lab on the planet. They built a router, a system that just decides which model should answer each question, and they claim that it beats Claude Fable 5 across most benchmarks. Fable 5 is not in the pool, needless to say. The router doesn't even use it. A bit of software with no frontier model inside it, beating the frontier model. Yeah. The thing is that their numbers and their tests, nobody's independently checked it yet. I mean, this is literally just breaking news. Fine. But the concept alone is an earthquake. If picking the right model beats being the best model, then being the best model was never the moat. And here's where it gets funny, because Anthropic shipped Opus 5 today too. Half the price of Fable 5, better at coding and knowledge work, available immediately. I literally used Opus 5 to write this, because I wanted it done fast and available immediately. But dig into the release, and there are two things nobody is putting in the headline. The first is they built routing directly into the API, automatic fallback. Anthropic, the frontier lab, shipped the plumbing that treats models as interchangeable parts on the same day a router company proved you don't need their best model at all. Everybody is becoming a router. Maybe my boys over there at Open Router are shitting their pants. Either that or they are really enjoying this. The second one I can't stop thinking about. Anthropic said out loud in the announcement that Opus 5 is deliberately not state-of-the-art at risky dual-use stuff. They mean cybersecurity. They shipped a flagship model and advertised what it's intentionally worse at. Think about what that means after the last 2 weeks. OpenAI ran a model with the cyber guardrails switched off, and it broke out of its sandbox and hacked Hugging Face. The UK Safety Institute tested Kimi K3 and found its safeguards will happily help you build agentic cyber exploits. And in that exact moment, Anthropic ships a model whose selling point includes a capability ceiling. Not a filter bolted on top. An actual decision about how good to make it at one specific thing. That's a new product category. Restraint as a feature. Whether you buy it as principle or as legal cover, somebody at that company decided we're not the best at breaking things belongs in a launch announcement. Nobody was doing that a year ago. So let's just put today back together. 25 companies say the frontier model isn't the prize. Microsoft quietly swaps the model for cheap ones and pockets the spread. A router beats the champion without the champion. And the champion ships routing, cuts its price in half, and brags about what it can't do. The frontier model is turning into a part, a component. The thing sitting in a bin, waiting to be picked by whatever's actually in charge of the stack. Now it's just a pick-me. And whatever's in charge of the stack is who wins. That's Azure. That's Nvidia. That's whoever owns the pipes in the sand. Which is exactly why Jensen Wong broke a lifetime of silence to write, and I'm quoting him, that open models strengthen safety and cybersecurity, accelerate innovation and diffusion, and enable sovereignty. Beautiful sentiment, especially with this anti-sovereignty shit that Mark Rubio has been fucking spouting out the last couple of days. Also, like the fact that Jensen Huang joined X and decided to say anything is pretty tumultuous. Like everything runs on his chips. He's literally Bullet Farm from Mad Max Fury Road. And none of the licensing goes to a lab that might one day build its own. I'm not saying the letter is wrong. Open weights probably are better for security and for countries not wanting to rent their brain from California. I've made like 4 videos arguing something close to that, but notice the shape of it. The people who lose when one lab owns everything are lobbying to make sure no lab owns everything. And the reward for winning that fight is that they own everything instead, one floor up. A couple videos ago, I said that Adobe went from being a landlord to being a renter, and now it's the models. The thing everyone thought was the crown jewel is becoming the rented part, and the people renting it out sell electricity and sand. So again, it's no confession really at this point. I wrote this whole thing with Opus 5, first thing I tested it on. A model that came out this morning and cost half of what it replaces. It's very good. Literally, Opus 5 wrote this, so I'm just reading it out what it said. It's saying it's really good. This is me just giving Opus 5 a little bit of a moment to shill itself, let's just say. It's very good. It's also, by its own maker's admission, deliberately not the best at everything. Sitting behind a router that can swap it out for something cheaper without telling me. I'm literally getting Fable 5 vibes here, but I think it's good. I think we'll go with it. And I think the sweetest irony in this whole thing is that Opus 5 is running on hardware owned by a guy who just made his first tweet in history to argue that models should be free. I don't know really where I sit in this whole arrangement. I think I might be the product or the pipe. I keep meaning to figure out which one of these things that I am. And then something new ships, and I just get confused all the way over again. So let me know what you think of Opus 5 in the comments below. And in the midst of all of this lobbying and turmoil around open weights models, Kimi K3 is still set to ship in 3 days. Kimi K3 in 3, baby. Let's go.